Hello. Today, hey, I'm actually really excited because I want to talk about community. And I came to somewhat of a realization that community and tribes are actually similar, almost the same thing. But we use community in a positive connotation where we use tribes as a more volatile and confrontational connotation. So I wanted to just think about these ideas, and I'll start off with community because community is what I was studying and trying to understand, and it came from the sense of loneliness. I think it was Jonathan Hari talks about how our depression, a lot of our depression comes from our loneliness as a culture, how being by ourselves for extended periods of time and not having people around us, a community around us, people around us, friends around us, can put us into depressive and sad states. And his argument is that one of these causes is loneliness, and to remediate that, we need to find groups and insert ourselves into groups to start recreating that community mindset where people are actually acknowledge you, oh, that are interacting with you, that you see on a weekly basis, maybe monthly, more like weekly, I would say, a basis where you feel like you're wanted, that you feel like you are um, wanted and a part of that group, a part of that community. And that is wonderful. That's amazing. And it's because we now have a means at our disposal to be able to better help people who are in these states of intense loneliness, those states where people are immensely addicted to being on their phone, which limits them from interactions with others. And by doing this, by being able to know where our depression is, we can better fight. Well, not fight against it, but better remedy it, and get us back into a state where we're not necessarily happy all the time, but where we feel satisfied and we feel like there's meaning to our life, and that we have people around us that we can count on. On the flip side of that, we also see the adverse effects of how our biology, our need to be in communities, can actually affect how we act in this. Oh, sorry, that was really loud. My bad. But how we act in this world, and also how we treat others and other communities, other our tribes in this world. The easiest example is I don't know, something caught my attention, and but how governments and countries see other countries. We can see the effects of it with Ukraine, and specifically how NATO is trying to gather our tribes, countries, other countries, to better protect itself from what they deem as a Russian threat. And you can see the opposite, how the Russians felt pressured, their tribe felt pressured, or better yet, we'll use those communities. Their Russian community felt pressured by these NATO infringement, and felt like they needed to retaliate, to respond, to stop another community, other tribes as that are NATO from infringing on to not infringing, infringing onto their territory, which is as their part of their community. So threatening their community, right? Now, caveat, when I talk about these nations, I'm not talking about everyone in these nations. I'm talking specifically about the governments of these nations and how they act. The governments of nations and the people of nations are two separate entities, and we have to treat them as such and understand them as such. So, but that's one example how our tribes, our communities, is though they can have very positive effects on us psychologically and physiologically. I think I'm using that word right. Physiologically, they can also be influence us negatively in the sense that if there's other tribes or other communities that are in proximity of threatening our tribe, we almost, as a part of that community, as part of that tribe, have an almost distinct nature to retaliate back, to protect our tribe, to protect our community. Another one on another side effect of communities and tribes is what is talked about in 1984, in George Orwell's 1984, and it's the groupthink. It's how once you get into these communities, once you get into these tribes, there's a certain way of thinking in those tribes and communities that are perpetuated within them. It's not necessarily a horrible or bad thing. It's just that to have a tribe and to have a community, a very basis is that you have something in commonality with each other, right? You're not going to be part of a group, not going to be part of community, not going to be part of a tribe that you don't have any commonalities with them. That's practically the basis of being an enemy, is having no commonalities between each other. So whenever you do get into these communities, when you get into these tribes, there is a high possibility that you attract a lot of like-minded individuals that also perpetuate those like-minded ideas. And that is something that is can be very detrimental, and you have to watch out for. So whenever you're in tribes, when you're in communities, you have to also understand your own individual person, and you have to reflect on your actions and how you present yourself in the world, and hopefully not be so swayed by these communities and tribes. So we can see how communities and tribes help us get back to our biological roots and fulfill psychological needs that our current age is not fulfilling. But we can also see the opposite side of where it kind of influences us to separate people into tribes, that us and it's a for and against kind of mentality. One other thing I wanted to talk about is the idea of enemy and the definition I proposed. So I proposed that almost how you would see enemy is someone you have no commonalities with, or even conflicting, a lot of times conflicting beliefs and thought processes, and then no commonalities between each other. I kind of like that definition, because whenever you start to understand, let's say, your enemy, to understand them as a human being, as someone who has feelings and emotions and beliefs and different ways of living, and have sons, daughters, or as moms, aunts, dads, as grandpas, grandmas, all these echelons of what it means to be a human being. Once you start understanding your enemy like that, whenever you start connecting with them in different ways, I think that's the basis of getting out of being enemies and becoming maybe not friends, but acquaintances, um, becoming or expanding in your tribe and your community with, oh, my streak is in danger. Damn it, Duolingo. But um, to expand your community to this other person, to expand your tribe to this other person. And it starts with that understanding of who they are. And I say understanding, but what I really mean is truly to ask questions, to be curious about who this other person is, to uncover what makes them human, what parts of their lives, what are they doing in their lives, who they are in their lives, how did they come about these beliefs and thoughts. And by doing that, I think we're able to actually connect with them. And to start connecting with them is to bring them almost into your personal tribe and community. And once you do those things, well, enemy doesn't really, you're not eliminating your enemy, the idea of an enemy. It more just like falls apart. And the idea of this person being your enemy is no longer necessarily true because, well, now you understand the person better. You understand why they think these ways. You understand who they are. Yeah. And I think I could talk more on it, but I want to keep it as that. So I will see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.